throughout all of anime and manga, just as a whole in general, we have always gotten representations of the strongest. For example, one of the biggest and most popular one is Gojo Satoru, Goku, Escanor, and all of these characters have these really cool moments, and they always have some good writing behind them, and they are always depicted and respected as the strongest throughout their entire verse. What if I told you, out of all of those characters, there was one in particular that stood out as the most when it comes to how good their writing is, and in particular, how good they are depicted as the strongest in their universe. And the individual I'm talking about is Yoriichi Sukakuni of Demon Slayer, right? And this topic came to me when I was rereading a little bit of Demon Slayer, and I was talking with some of my friends, and the topic of the strongest characters in the verse came up, and none of them brought up Yoriichi, so I thought it would be like a fun topic to really talk about. Usually when people first think of the strongest, their first thought is like Gojo, again, Gojo, Goku, Escanor. But funny enough, a very common thing that all three of these characters have is that they aren't actually the strongest in their verse, or at least the definitive strongest in their verse, right? Like Gojo lost to Sukuna, so him being the strongest is debunked. Escanor, technically speaking, is kind of overwhelmed by Meliodas and the Demon King at the same time. I mean, Escanor is not also the definitively strongest in his verse. He's definitely up there, but with the new manga releasing, he definitely isn't. And Goku, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, you of course know that Beerus, Whis, characters out there that are stronger than Goku. Even characters that aren't gods like Black Frieza and Beast Gohan, I would consider stronger than Goku. But in the special case of Yoriichi, where this is a character that has never been challenged, I'll say, right? And I'll break down what I really mean by that by going through Yoriichi's story. So Yoriichi was born with a Demon Slayer mark, which nobody else in the verse was born with. It is a special ability that increases the physical abilities of the human body, and he was also born with a transparent world, which allows him to see muscle movements and inside the human body, which makes it easier to perceive, right? And Yoriichi growing up, you could say was a very nonchalant child. You could say he never wanted to be bothered with fighting, and you could even say that his goal was not to become a swordsman or a demon slayer. But you could almost say that the god of the universe made it so like Yoriichi's destiny was to be a demon slayer. Honestly, with the catastrophe of events that happened with him and his wife Uda, which makes him become a demon slayer because he thinks that killing is wrong. Of course, he's more accustomed to a good moral compass, and when he becomes a demon slayer, he is not only able to produce incredible results, but he is also able to increase the abilities of others around him. When Yoriichi becomes a demon slayer, he is capable of enhancing everybody's abilities by spreading the demon slayer mark, teaching them his off-brand techniques, because nobody is strong enough like Yoriichi that they can learn sun breathing, so they need to make branch off forms. So Yoriichi is so strong and capable that nobody could replicate his movements to his degree or even a fraction of it, because they need to make branch off techniques and forms from it. But Yoriichi, just as him as a total, is able to make individuals around him stronger due to the mark, and train them and make them stronger to defeat demons. The Demon Slayer corpse is objectively stronger because of Yoriichi's presence alone, right? And moving on further, we have Kokoshibo, or sorry, at this point he's Michikatsu, which is also his brother and doesn't even have a fraction of his strength. And this is something expressed to us throughout the manga, that Michikatsu is probably the second strongest to Yoriichi, and he still is nowhere near him at a level, due to him just being the blessed child, the one with sun breathing, the one with all the abilities from the start, from birth, right? And we really get to see the magnitude of this in the old era where he finally encounters Muzan. And at this point, Muzan is already renowned to us as the Demon King. He is the strongest demon alive. And at this point, they fight, and Yoriichi tells himself that if he gets hit one time by Muzan, then it's game over because of Muzan's blood poison. Mind you, before this, you could hypothetically say that uh, you could say that Yoriichi probably was not taking the fight fully seriously until he got serious and just blitzes Muzan with the 13th form. Now, mind you, the 13th form is all 12 forms of sun breathing done in conjunction with each other. So that means he did 12 consecutive complex movements within an instant before Muzan could react. And Muzan is the strongest demon. And even at that, he would have killed Muzan if it wasn't for him wanting his own curiosity, wanting to know why Muzan did the things he did, which gave Muzan a time to escape. And even then, Yoriichi still significantly weakened Muzan to the point where his scars were still on his body and he had to flee with flesh, right? He still took out majority of the pieces of flesh. So then you even have, after Yoriichi's passing, current state of where the manga was at, where Yoriichi is still getting hinted at and shouted out for being the strongest demon slayer that nobody could even match up to him. They even make a doll that has 6 arms to try and replicate his movements, and even that should still be inferior, honestly. So even with all that evidence, let's just go further into the final fight of Demon Slayer, where they are fighting Muzan, all the Hashira and the Demon Slayers, and Tanjiro goes back and has flashbacks and can see Yoriichi's movements. But even him himself, after seeing Yoriichi's movements, deems himself still not capable of doing it to Yoriichi's extreme degree. And that's just how amazing Yoriichi is, that nobody can replicate his movements. Even somebody like Kokushibo, one of the strongest characters in the universe, say that he can never live up to his brother and still lost to him at the ripe age of like 90 or 80 or however old he was at the time. I'm not totally sure, but he was a old man with gray hair that was still able to blitz Kokushibo, who was Upper Moon 1 at the time. And even towards the end of his dying time, where he was fighting Gyomei Sanemi and Muichiro, he was still acknowledging Yoriichi as the strongest and the superior, and he was still jealous of him. And then even going back into the Muzan fight, where, you know, Tanjiro's saying he can't do what Yoriichi can do, and Muzan is even reminded of Yoriichi when Tanjiro is fighting him, and he's just calling him a ghost. He wants him to go away. He still has PTSD from the wounds Yoriichi has inflicted upon him. And this is something I actually failed to mention earlier. But when Muzan is first interacting with Tanjiro, and he sees the Hanafuda earrings, he is terrified because in his mind, Yoriichi was the only person to ever get that close to killing him. And at that point, I think it's just kind of like clear as day. He wouldn't still be afraid of Yoriichi if he could take him down or kill him. I just think Yoriichi is the best representation of the strongest because he's still the strongest by the end of the series. Escanor, Goku, and Gojo failed to accomplish this feat, which, of course, it's not the end of Goku's series, so I won't really count him in that. But Jujutsu Kaisen, as the manga, not modulo, he ends off his death without being the strongest, and Escanor does the same. But in Yoriichi's case, Yoriichi dies, and his power was still to that great of a magnitude that nobody in the manga could match him in his might. And this goes for a mental and a physical state, right? I don't think anybody mentally could also handle the weight of anything Yoriichi was doing. The weight of being the strongest and holding the entire corpse on his back was the only thing that was held up by him. Even if you want to say Michikatsu was second to Yoriichi, I don't think it would matter in this aspect because Yoriichi himself made the corpse stronger. The corpse is built up off of him with Demon Slayer marks. and breathing techniques and total concentration breathing. Without Yoriichi, none of that would be possible. All of them would be weaker. So I just wanted to yap a little bit and tell you guys about one of my favorite characters in manga in general. I think he's one of the most complex and fun characters to just digest in a manga. And I hope you guys really liked this video. If you did, I would appreciate a sub and like. I appreciate you guys for showing so much love to the last video. It means so much to me. And I really hope you guys show love to this one. You like this one. And more content will be coming up. And I hope you guys have a great day. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.